Hey guys, before we start our Punnett square complete dominance unit, I wanted to cover some basic genetics terminology. The first is the difference between dominant and recessive traits. So a dominant trait is going to be expressed and covers up or can mask a recessive allele. Now, typically, we write a dominant allele using a capital letter. So a rule of thumb for me is whatever the dominant trait is, for example, in pea plants, tall is dominant over short. So because tall starts with T, that's the letter I'm going to use. A little t would signify a recessive trait. So a recessive trait is the one that can be masked, and the only way that you're going to get a phenotype, or the only way it's going to express a recessive trait, is when it has two letters together. So little t would exhibit the short pea plant phenotype. Okay. The other thing is the difference between homozygous and heterozygous. Well, the prefix homo means same. Hetero means different. So in this context, homozygous means the same genotype or the same letters. Okay. Heterozygous is going to be different. Okay. So a big letter with a little letter. Now, what does genotype and phenotype mean? Well, genotype, like I said, those are the alleles. In other words, those are the letters that we use to represent that particular trait. A phenotype is going to be the physical description. So those are going to be words like tall, short, purple, white. Okay, it's the physical expression of those traits. It's what you can physically see or observe. The genotype is a little trickier. You can't always determine the genotype based just on looking at something, because this genotype, big T, and this genotype, big T, little t, look the same. This one is tall and this one is tall. The only one that you can tell for sure that is completely known would be the homozygous recessive trait, which is little t. It'll be short. It's the only genotypic combination that you can get. Okay, so let's see how we would work out one of these Punnett squares. Okay, so this inheritance pattern that I'm referring to, this is important because we're going to learn about some more advanced genetics later on. So we're going to be doing complete dominance with Mendel's pea plants. Now here's your legend. I have to give you a legend. The letters, remember, that's your genotype. Okay, so this, get my pen. This is your genotype. The words, that's your phenotype. So let's say I wanted to cross a homozygous dominant. So homo means same. Dominant, what kind of letters? Big letters. So big P, big P. So this would be big P, big P. And what if I wanted to cross it with a heterozygote? Well, hetero means different. So that would be big P and then a little p. Now the way that we do this is we're going to drop and slide. Now here's where we need to pay attention, because the capital letters should come first. So when we drop these letters, this one's easy. It's going to be big P, big P. This one's going to be big P, big P. But when we get here, we're going to drop this big P, and we're going to slide this little p over. You have to write it big P first, and then little p. We'll drop this big P down first, and then slide this little p over. Okay? So this is how you would fill out your Punnett square. Well, now we need to determine the ratios. So there's two different kinds of ratios we can have. We can calculate the genotypic ratio or the phenotypic ratio. Remember that geno refers to the letters. So I'm going to use different colors to represent which ones are which. So how many are homozygous dominant? Okay, that would be 1, 2. Okay, so we're going to come down here, we're going to write 50% are big P, big P. Okay, next let's do heterozygous. So that's big P, little p. 1, 2, okay, or 50%. So it's going to be 50% big P, little p. All right, now it might be slightly different for the phenotypic ratio. So let me erase these lines so that we can do our phenotypic ratio. So with the phenotype, we're only looking for the physical description. So is it purple or white? So this one right here, this one is purple, 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 and purple. So it happens that we actually have different ratios depending on whether we're looking at alleles, the genotype, or the physical description, the phenotype. So in this case, it would be 100%. Because it's asking for phenotype, we have to use the words. Purple. All right, hopefully that was helpful.